Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Justin White. I'm here with the owner, the myth, the legend from Puerto Rico, Osvaldo.
Yes. Hey, Justin. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. And to everybody at home watching this podcast, let's continue supporting great people that are doing great things for the racing industry and to communicate as best as possible everything that's going on in the racing world. This guy.
Yeah, a big thing that we see in the industry a lot is the racing scene is mostly in the States. We're losing our tracks. We're losing a lot of motivation. A lot of people are kind of, I feel like they're not falling out of love with the sport, but they're falling out of options. And
That's a good way to see it.
I've been visiting here for 5 years now. I think coming up on 6 years, and watching this and kind of coming here, getting the vibe of the community, the vibe of how everybody kind of works together, really settled with me a lot. And we ended up making the move here about 7 months ago, and
Beautiful.
We love it.
Beautiful.
I
love it.
But something we've noticed a lot, the vibe of like events and things like that are next level here. The car community is kind of next level here. There's a lot of things here that a lot of people in the States don't realize. And so that's something I definitely want to talk about and get into later. Okay. But I kind of wanted to start with telling people your story because you're big here in the car community. You're one of the biggest voices here that I've noticed. And you could tell the love that you have for the sport is really showing in your I guess business ventures as well as your events. So let us know the history.
I've always said that there's two ways to fall in love with a sport, or to not to fall in love. You can fall in love so many ways with the automotive and racing sport. That being said, there's only really two ways of accomplishing anything in the racing world.
Yeah,
it's either with money or being a mechanic. Those are the two main ways.
Mechanic.
I know. I wasn't a mechanic and I had no money. So all I did was go to a pharmacy and look at Motor Trend and look at these magazines to get my excitement and my fix for racing. Even though my grandpa, he's Cuban, or he was Cuban, he used to be the main Ford mechanic in Cuba.
Really?
So I get it somewhere.
It's in there. It's in the genes.
The only mechanics I did in my lifetime was because I needed it. I needed to do the oil change. I needed to do the spark plug change because I had no money to pay somebody to do it.
Right.
So I had to do it. There was no other way. That being said, I've been communicating. That's been my life and my passion for the past 25 years. I've dreamed about the entertainment industry, of accomplishing things in that area. So I got a big opportunity while doing my master's degree in communications and marketing and advertising to get into the racing world. 2010, 2009, 2010. And when I started getting into it, I'm like, there's so many stories to be told in this industry, in this sport, in this island that have represented us all over the world. Australia, you say that you're coming from Puerto Rico, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
They're coming from the island of El Calentón, how we call it. You got to say that before the end of the podcast. La Isla del Calentón, the island of El Calentón. You go to Dubai, you have mechanics from here giving services to people in Russia, to people in Europe. It's like, what the? From this little island. And so we've always had a big passion for racing in the automotive industry. I think that is ingrained in every Puerto Rican. And being from the island, well, you always had certain restrictions because we don't have the geographically positioned state to be able to bring people from other states, like we have right now. We have an event that we'll talk about it later in Florida that you have people from Ohio, Texas coming into to race.
Right, because they could just drive
You
in.
could just drive in.
We're here, we have to ship a car.
You would have
which
to ship a car.
is not as hard as people think it is.
It's not.
We can definitely get on that, but because I want to talk about that while we
Yes.
talk about the event.
Yes.
Because a lot of people don't realize, if you've ever been to World Cup, that's pretty much Puerto Rico versus the U.S. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Literally.
Because we went to a Hail Mary event in Maryland, and we're walking around and talking, and it's Puerto Ricans out there cooking food, and I'm like, oh, this smells so good.
This is what I have in the island.
Right. And this is what we were seeing there, and I was like, man, this is so cool. Yeah. But anyways, so we'll talk about that.
And it's all the island, because you have people from Dominican Republic, you have people from Jamaica, you have people from Bahamas, you have people from Barbados going to the States to race.
Right. Well, a lot of people don't realize the car scene on the islands. I know that you would think it's a no-brainer, right? Because everywhere you go here, it's cars. Yep. You go to the mall, it's $1 million cars out front. Yeah. Like it's the life here. Yeah. But in the States, you don't know that. People don't really know that. So that's part of me wanting to interview a lot of people out here, is kind of show the world
what we have.
They don't fuck around out here. Yeah,
I think that there's always resistance to different things that come up. Always. That's part of life, and that's one of the things that most of us humans that are alive today are alive because we had that chip of resistance at some point. Hey, do not go to that bear because that bear is going to kill you. So you're going to resist going there. So I think that's part of our evolution as humans. That being said, the best weapon against resistance is information.
Exactly.
So by you doing this and giving information to your clientele, to your people, to your fans in the States, it's another step of people getting to know what we have here, because this is a blessed island.
It's very special.
And if people realize that they would have the same things they have in the States, but in a Caribbean environment, it's like, why not?
It's like, wait, you can race and live in a tropical paradise?
I was talking to one of my boys over there. He's a Marine. And he's like, so you're telling me that right off the racing pathway, I could go snorkel and scuba dive and shit? And I'm like, yes.
You could make a wrong turn and end up in the ocean.
Yeah. Correct. So I've always mixed. Once I got to learn about the racing industry here, I met some fantastic people and fantastic histories. And so I gave myself the role of, by having a voice and having nothing to say, that would be a mistake on my part. So if I have a voice, I'm going to put it towards the people, towards what I believe in, towards the greatness that the racing and the automotive industry has done for Puerto Rico. So I apply that to my products, my events, my movies, because I have movies that I do as an actor, and then I have movies that I produce. Most of the movies that I produce, or most of the movies that I've produced till now, have been racing involved at some point, or somehow, or cars. So that to me is very important, and that's how I got into this world. And again, it's not the same thing. This little kid, this little country boy, as you would call it, watching a magazine in a pharmacy, than being able to host an event where you get 7,000 people to see the event, 200 cars, and all the organizing on it, and getting to meet some fantastic people. I'm dying to start bringing cars from the States here, because I think that one of the things that we bring different from the States in the types of events that we do is that I think about it in the entertainment aspect of it. Yes. I want it to be an all-around. That to me is very important. And it's a family event.
And it's executed very well in that manner, 100%. And you haven't known me that long, but you've known that if I say something, I'm not gonna bullshit. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If I think it's wrong, I'll tell you. you know, because I feel like that's the best way to handle things.
I agree.
Is if you're upfront about it.
Even if I completely agree with you, even if it's gonna hurt me, you saying it to me, I would appreciate it.
Right.
That you will be straightforward, because that's the only way you could grow.
Yep.
And make changes, because sometimes changes are good. Not every human is capable of understanding changes, but I think that's part of our mission here on Earth, on how do we evolve, develop, and grow.
Right.
It comes with change.
So I want to go back to so you went through college, you got a master's in entertainment and
Advertising and marketing and all that.
So when you come out of that, you went into movies, correct?
I've been doing movies since before that.
Okay.
But I was working at a gas station to pay for my college. So I would work in the gas station. I used to make $4 an hour at that point. But they let me, in the gas station, they let me sell empanadas.
Yeah.
Empanadas. They used to let me sell them. I would go to my house. I would go to work. I would go study. After going from school, I would go back to my house with my mom and start building the empanadas that we were gonna cook for the next day, so I could sell at the gas station.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So basically, you were always a hustler.
I've always been a hustler.
Always.
I think that mentality comes from needing. At one point in my life, I had a can of tuna and rice for my mom, my brother, and myself. And I said to myself, this is never gonna happen to me again. I have two of those moments in my life. And I don't hold it against my mom. I think she made a lot of mistakes. I don't hold it against her because she was trying as best as she knew how to. But those are moments that mark you to a certain extent and help you grow from there. So I understood that the only way I was going to get out of this was by hustling and making sure that if somebody is working, I need to work harder than them. Whoever's doing it, I need to be harder than them. Whoever is training, I need to train harder than them.
Right.
And that's been my mentality. 2018, 2010, I got into a big TV show here. It was one of the top TV shows in the island. It was a racing TV show. It was like sort of like a Top Gear type thing,
Okay.
but in Spanish. So I used to test cars and do drift events and do rallies and all that good stuff. And I started doing Faster or Nothing in 2013, the same year that my boy was born, as a new brand. Why? Because the people that started the half miles, just like in the States, they were very elitist.
Right.
How? The half mile started in Russia, Texas, California, and in Puerto Rico. 2011.
Say Russia?
Yeah.
Like the country?
Yeah, Russia.
Didn't know that.
Russia, they have a mile race also.
Okay.
They were like the first ones to get it done. Why? Because there was a need. There was a need with technology. The same way that the quarter mile started. Before it was the eighth of a mile. Why? Because you were racing cars against horses. That's how it started. Oh, I have a horse. Oh yeah, so I have a car. Let's fucking race. That's how it started.
Yeah.
That's way back. So when cars started getting faster, they were like, oh shit, an eighth of a mile is not enough. We need a quarter mile. So that's when the quarter mile started. It started getting regulated and all of this stuff. NHRA, everything that we have now. But it took them how many years? So 12 years ago, no, 14 years ago now, the half mile started. Why? Because now you have cars that coming straight out of the manufacturer, you would need to do a roll cage on it to be able to race in the quarter mile.
Yeah.
McLaren, the Platt.
Yeah.
You can't race them by NHRA standards in a quarter mile because they're too fast. technology is bringing you to the point where, okay, so we need more distance. And I know there's been a lot of pioneers pushing towards getting the right concepts, and everybody's doing their own thing right now with the half miles around the world, because and there's not a lot. It's the States, us, maybe Dubai and Russia.
Yeah.
That's it. Why? Because again, most of the other countries, especially in the car aspect of it, are not as developed. But there's a need for these type of events, because again, you have a Plaid straight out of the manufacturer. You're doing 175 miles an hour in the half mile.
Yeah.
So you need these types of events. That being said, you have a limited source of tracks, because you have to do them in an airport.
Right.
For now, for now, hopefully, and I'm listening to you. I'm telling you guys this. Listen to me. And I am. How do you say it in English? It's like I'm throwing it to the world so God can back it up.
Just putting it out there, really.
I just want to put it out there. I want to be able to construct the first half mile track in the world.
Like specifically dedicated for half mile racing.
Yeah.
What about roll racing?
I love roll racing. That's my favorite type.
Because that's something that I've noticed is different. Again, I want to touch on this later, but that you do the half mile and the roll race.
To me, that's the funnest style of racing.
Yeah.
Why? Because it feels, and this is something I do not condone street racing. I do not condone it. I think it's too dangerous. I think you should do it in the safest place possible. Racing as it is a very dangerous sport. It's very dangerous.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you got the right ambience for it. Security, ambulance, firefighters, police, barricades, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that was something I did notice when I saw a spin out at the half mile and a helicopter came in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this? I was like, oh, okay. So they've got the helicopters waiting. I mean, y'all have everything kind of lined out. So if anything happens, it's taken care of immediately.
Yeah. The idea has to be that we can minimize the risk, because it's already a really risky sport.
Right. And you know, you assume that risk when you participate, right? But at least knowing that you have that mind state of minimizing anything detrimental.
Again, best racers in the world have passed away doing this sport. I think it comes with it.
Yeah.
There's always that risk factor. But if we can minimize it, why not?
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's my 2 cents on that as a producer for events. I think there's a lot of opportunities still to come. And again, with the advancements in technology, all of these things are going to become more real. I love road racing, to come back to that, because it gives you the opportunity to
have that thrill.
Yeah,
to have
that face by face. Bam, 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 let's go.
Right.
But we do it with a Christmas tree.
Till that Audi took it out one time.
I know. It wasn't an Audi.
It wasn't?
No, it was a McLaren.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I remember it hit it and that thing went boom. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
It went out. Because he tried to control it. And that's another thing that I always say to racing. You don't have to prove anything.
That's what I tell my guys when I get here, because the nature here is so competitive. Like, people think they're competitive. You don't understand competitive until you've raced here.
Yeah.
It's super competitive. But I always tell my guys, I'm like, look, there's no judgment if you have to let out, because you can always make another pass.
Correct.
I'm like, if you make a mistake,
let out.
You know, and you don't let out, you may not make that next pass.
Pedal, come down, come back out, and do a race again.
Exactly.
That's one of the things that I've always pushed, because one of the biggest complaints. Oh, and going back to Fast or Nothing, why I created it. Remind me, because my dyslexia and my ADD, it's all over the fucking place. One of the things that I got a lot of complaints in when I was with another organization at the beginning, 2011 and stuff, it was that, one, people weren't doing enough passes. People were doing 3 to 4 passes a day, and I'm like, that makes no sense. Because time-wise, it makes no sense.
Right.
It takes you 20 seconds to get, if you're going slow, it takes you 20 seconds to get down the half mile. It takes you 20 more seconds to get out. That's 40 seconds. Every minute, we should have a fucking race.
Right.
That's how I see it.
And that's pretty much how it seems like it runs.
Yeah, those are things that I've done with my team. If you see that the car is still going and it's gonna go out, send the other car. Unless we see something, that's why I have a lot of people looking at the track, making sure that nothing goes out. A car spins out.
And you have guys mid-track and at the end too, I've seen.
Yeah, like more towards the, as far as possible, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, I always have eyes everywhere just to make sure that everybody gets out safely. That to me is very important.
I think when and we're definitely going to touch on this one, but when the GTR spun, when the parachutes ripped, before he stopped spinning, there was cars already on the way down. Yeah. And I think I have a video of it, so I'll try to include that.
Did you see the car spinning?
I didn't see the spin. All I saw was he was still towards the end, and I saw ambulance and everything already going. I'm like, what happened? Yeah. Before we even knew what happened, people were on the way to make sure he was okay.
That to me is very important because, again, safety has to be priority in a very dangerous sport.
Yeah. What? I want to go back to the half mile because there's a lot there, but I kind of wanted to go.
Why did I create Faster or Nothing?
Well, first off, what made you want to be a voice of cars to begin with? If you didn't work on them, right?
The stories. When I started learning the stories of families together, how the sport here brought families together. I saw it. I lived it. I went to events and I'm like, it's the grandfather, the dad. I'm getting goosebumps on it. The grandfather, the dad, the mother, the kids. No, it's generational. It's freaking fantastic, bro.
Well, like the day CJ broke his dad's record.
Yeah, freaking
that
awesome.
Was awesome, right?
He was enjoying it. It was awesome. It was a great race.
It was a good moment too, because you got to see a father and a son. You know, the father holding this record forever, and then the son coming back and
I'm seeing it.
The son came back and fucked him up, destroyed him.
I'm seeing it now more than ever. I'm seeing it now more than ever, because again, I've been doing it for 10 years.
Right.
So 10 years ago, these kids were 10, but now they're 20, so they're racing.
Yep.
And you see, I love it. I love it. I love the. And the first time I experienced that was in a truck race, where they had all the school buses, trucks.
I haven't seen this. No,
what?
No. I guess I need to see this.
Listen, they're not doing it anymore. I want to do it. I want to bring it back. They had trucks, school buses, semis, everything you can imagine, racing. It was beautiful. It was over 50,000 people. All family of family and no. It was such a great. I stood out and I'm like, oh, this is it. This is what you would want, because it's bringing family together through a sport they love.
Yeah.
To me that was fascinating, and that's where I was like, okay, this is my route.
And it hooked you.
Yeah.
So that was something that I noticed when we first started debating, kind of talking about moving here. I had met Tony, TP1.
Yeah.
Right? And I went to a shop, and this is a shop that does Lambos and GTRs and, high-end cars, right? Yeah. And typically you wouldn't
started with Supras.
You wouldn't be invited into that shop.
Yeah.
Not normally, not in the States.
Really?
No. They don't. I don't know if it's liability or just snootiness or what it is, but like you're not gonna just walk into those shops. This guy let me use his dyno while I'm over there tuning a car. He's like, if you're curious, there's some other fuels you could try. And I'm like, I'm more than welcome to listen. Let me know. Cool. And we tried it. We picked up a lot of power. And,
you were like,
for somebody to be that willing to give out that information and help out to somebody that didn't know, honestly, that's what sealed the deal on us moving here.
Awesome. Was
Tony. And we did a podcast with Tony, which will have already dropped by the time this comes out. Give that a second.
We're in a shop. Thank you, Marquesina.
Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Marquesina. We're in a shop. It happens.
People got to work. Got to get stuff done.
Dímelo, Marquesina.
But basically, you know, to see that, we did the podcast with Tony. We got to hear his story, and his story is pretty wild.
Oh, it's awesome.
And it all kind of touches back on the family thing. So after meeting him, going to the half mile, that's when we used that fuel, which was Q16, on CJ's car. That's what we broke the half mile record with.
202 miles.
Right.
That was an insane pass.
But had Tony not helped us, I don't know that we would have got there.
Yeah.
The other thing is, while we're there and we're all hanging out, Tony still doesn't really know me, right? We talked at the shop, but he's over there cooking some killer steak.
Oh, he cooks.
And
really
he's like, man, grab you some. I'm like, oh no, I don't want to. He goes, no, this is for the people. And I
and
was
him.
like, what?
Me and him, we always have a challenge. His steaks are fantastic. My steaks are really good too.
Oh man,
He's gonna kill me when he sees this.
we'll have to do that challenge one day.
Oh, let's do it.
But that was something I got. And then another thing that really stuck with me is that people, when they talk about a record they got, nobody says I.
That is true.
That's a big thing here. Again, in the States, I'm not saying everybody does, but most people are like, I did this, I did that, I did. That's not a thing here. Here it's we did this, you know, and we did it together. And it's always a team and everybody works together. Nobody, you can walk into any pit and ask for anything you need next to the engine out of their car and they would give it to you. Like, anyway, but yeah, so basically that was something that really drew me in and really wanted me. I felt like how you feel like you had that voice. I feel like I may not have as big of a voice, but I do have a voice in the States.
Yeah.
And I want people to see what this is like, because if we could bring this mentality to the States, racing would be 3, 4, 5 times bigger than it is.
Hopefully. No?
Noise canceling mics for the win.
Hopefully we get that done. I think that's my goal. I want to bring families together. I want people to understand the mission behind Fast or Nothing. The reason why I created the name is because in 2013, I understood that the way that half miles were being run wasn't the right way. Especially if you want to bring people like you, people like Tony, to the party. Why? Because at the beginning, to be able to race in a half mile here, it had to be, and that's how it started in the States also, you had to be either the year of the event or a year less. So if you were a car, 2009, you couldn't race.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, this was, because I know there was 2 half miles here. There was the PR half mile. Is that the one that started first?
I started
or you were with that? Okay.
No, I used to do the media from the first event.
Okay.
And they had their structure, which I respected. But to me, it was like, why are you not letting other people race Supras, RX-7, stuff like that I know that we have great cars here. So they had their structure, and I said, okay, I'm going to create something that's different. Why? Because I didn't care what car you had. I didn't care your social status. I cared that you were rápidos o nada. Spanish for fast or nothing. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
If you have a Mirage,
we talked about it. Samuel?
Yeah, Samuel.
Yeah.
200-mile Mirage. My mom used to have that car in 1992.
Yeah. I ran into
and if it went to 70 miles, it was a lot.
I ran into him at the drag strip and got to actually see the car and meet him. Really cool guy.
Cool
but
dude.
I was looking for the seat for his testicles. Yeah. Because I just couldn't imagine how he was able to do that.
200 miles in that.
And he was like, yeah, I definitely wouldn't have done it again.
But he retired the car.
Yeah.
Which to me was perfect. Because every time he did a pass, I would be like,
Yeah.
okay, he's done. Okay, you guys go check him. And something that I also included in this past events is that when you have those big cars like that want to break records and stuff, I always send them with a crew. Like,
yeah,
they're going, the crew goes behind them.
Yep.
Just to make sure that something were to happen, there's somebody going to be there, like right there at that point.
Yeah.
So that to me is obviously fantastic. 200 miles an hour. Obviously, it's not the same as Gringo Terra on the Integra, but because he's doing 218 in the with a 4-cylinder, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. I love that guy. I've always talked about bringing him here. obviously, we've only met through social media stuff,
Right.
but I'm like, bro, you gotta come down, and we can never find a way to make it happen yet.
That's but that was something that I really thought was cool is the difference of the amount of cars that we that are here, right? Tony was telling us about the Supra. They didn't want to let the Supra in.
Guess who got the Supra in?
Right. And then
Did he tell you?
Yeah.
Because they didn't want him. And I'm like, bro, this guy has a Supra. He's known all over the world. He's raced all over the world. Maryland, Dominican Republic, everywhere. Orlando. This guy is the real deal.
Yeah.
Why are you not letting him race? So I vouch. When I was in the other organization, I'm like, you got to bring this guy in. And he did a spectacle. Like, everybody was like, oh my God. And I was like, told you, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, that was something I did notice is the amount of cars that you have here and the limited resources, because that is a thing. These cars don't seem to blow up very much going down this track.
No.
It seems like, it doesn't matter what it is, an older Mirage or, an R8 or whatever.
They have good setups.
These guys they put everything, their heart, their soul, everything into these cars, and, they make good, clean passes. I don't know that I've seen anybody blow an engine and oil that track down. I know it's probably happened.
It's happened.
But I've never seen it.
It's happened once. It's happened twice. One with a Lamborghini, blew out the transmission, and another one with a Cadillac. That after the burnout, boom, it blew out right there at the beginning, and I'm like, guys, let's move this. It was insane. It was at the beginning of the day. I was like, okay, guys.
Not the way to start.
Yes, let's clean it up as fast as possible. Let's start using one lane, because I also do 2 lanes to make sure that people get a lot of passes in. So yeah, that to me was really, really big. That we got an opportunity to do something special for that side of the community, which brings all the culture that I told you that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
Because again, I love exotic cars, brand new cars. I love it. I want to see them. I want to see a Bugatti race at one of my events. It's never happened yet. But again, a Bugatti in the half mile is going to hit 190 miles an hour. 190. A Mirage from 1992 is doing 200.
Yeah.
A Corvette is doing 202.
Yep.
Those are the things that I know get the people excited.
Well, yeah, because it's kind of like the underdog story.
Correct. And I can't hate on the people with the amount of money to have a Bugatti, because I want to get there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to forget about my people, the ones who started with me. So where do we merge it? Let's bring them together. That
was something that, again, that really kind of piqued my interest is, the first event I went to when I met you, I was welcomed like, I had been coming to these events forever.
Yeah.
And I told the guys, I'm like, dude, I don't want to miss another one. Good. It didn't matter. You didn't know me. You didn't know anything about me. And you treated us like family. And you treated everybody like family. It doesn't matter. I mean, there's an SF90 out there racing with the Mirages.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that. I think that's all we have, bro. It goes beyond racing. It goes to our humanity. I think I'm a firmly God believer, and I believe that everything has a purpose in life. And I've always said that you treat people how you want to be treated.
Right.
And to me, every human, I always see the good in people, even though I've been backstabbed several times in my lifetime, and I haven't lived that long. That being said, I always see good in people because we're all the face of God, and to have that and bring that into the racing world is one of my new missions. My mission was to bring out the name of Puerto Rico racing, all that. Now my mission is to unify family through the sport.
Yeah, which I think you're doing a hell of a job at. The other thing that, again, was a big deal for me, we've talked about this before. I also visit Shift Sector, which...
Great people. Jason Hung.
Yes, and he's a very nice guy. The events run really, the event runs really well, but it's not the same. And that was something that I can speak on from my experience.
Okay. I've never been to a shift sector. I'm dying to go.
Well, the way it seems to run, and this is just my interpretation of it, it is more of an elitist event. It's more catered to the higher end cars. You know, I did see a lot more cars blow up there, which I was very surprised, since they don't have limited resources, but maybe just people kind of getting antsy.
No,
and they handled that really well. They cleaned it up quickly. They got everything done. But there wasn't somebody on the microphone, you know, pumping everybody up. You weren't psyched to go to the next round. And you know, if that's not how they want their event, I totally understand that.
No, yeah. That's a good thing about.
But like when you know, we went I think 194 with a Corvette, there was no like excitement.
I would have made a big deal about it. It was like,
right,
195.
Right. Like every time we make a pass, you know, or we go up there with like Alexander's car trying to get the next record or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. The excitement's there. It's a party. You know, if y'all are cleaning something, there's cars out drifting. Yeah. There's always something going on. And something I saw was the charity. Yeah. That was something real cool that I saw, that they were doing they would drift for the kids.
Yeah.
And you would donate. So I did it. I donated the money for it so my son could go ride in the car. He had a killer experience. I felt good about the donation. Yeah. It was really well handled. The other thing that separates it, where I don't know how the classes works specifically there, but the website, the handling and the organization of the website, I think the way you guys do it is pretty next level. And then the separations, the updates that are immediate, I really liked how that was done, how you can go to the category and watch how we're doing. Because, you know, when I see it, I'm like, USDM, shit, there's somebody in the first, second, or third spot. We got to get them out. Okay. You know, that's how we go to these half miles every time here.
Good.
So the excitement that you bring to it is really enticing. I think people that haven't seen it yet should go back and look through our videos, because we posted many videos from the half mile. Brooks from Drag Times, he's been there. I met him there. I thought that was really cool. And he's posted videos as well. Yeah. If you get the vibe, I think people would really enjoy, you know, at least give it a shot and come see it, because I think you'll be hooked on it.
One of the things that I think I bring different, and I want to talk about Jason Hung for a minute. One of the things that I think is that I've always thought about everything that I'm getting involved in, how I see it 360 in the entertainment aspect of it.
Right.
Because you have people paying the ticket to go to be entertained. So we got to figure out a way. It started raining in that last event, and I told people to bring out their pickups, because pickups are not going to pick up a lot of speed. That's one. And second, they're made for rain and dirt and all that. So that's a way to keep the people enticed. We even had you saw the truck race.
Yeah.
That was the first half-mile truck race.
Oh, the semis?
Yeah, the semi.
I recorded it, so I'll make sure to add that clip too.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was like, oh my God. Yes, bring them all. So one of the first things that I did, because I'm a very respectable guy and ethical guy, when I got the space to do the event, I made sure to get Jason Hung's number so I could call him and talk to him and let him know that even though we do similar events, half-mile events, I'm not competition. Right. I want us to join forces at some point. Just like in the quarter miles, the way they did it is by joining forces.
Yep.
Let's join. I'm not going to compete with you. I know you're not going to compete with me. You have your thing going. I have my other thing going. Let's figure out a way
to coexist.
To not only to coexist, but to
commingle.
help each other.
Yeah.
Because, again, I know I could bring some really good things to the table. And I know for a fact that he could bring a lot of good things to the table, especially in the States.
And I'm sure he'd be open to it. He seems like a super nice guy.
To me, again, I'm a very godly person. And he said something to me that I loved. People here, culturally, everywhere you go, you're like, you leave your moms or your aunts or something like that, you're like, God bless you, Mom. God bless you, son. That is always there. And he told me through the phone, before I announced the event, by the way, So I wanted to make sure that he understood that I respected what he's gone through.
What he's built, right?
Yeah, what he's built. So he's like, hey, bro, you got my blessing. That to me felt beautiful because he's understanding what we can accomplish.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact he's going to make it. I know for a fact I'm going to make it. I know for a fact if somebody else comes and tries to do a half mile, they're going to make it. It's not the same.
It's
if
not.
we join, because now we're more powerful. We could roll harder.
And you could hit more events, you could hit more states.
Not only that, we can bring in more sponsors.
True, true.
That at the end of the day, by joining forces, the same way that NASCAR started, F1 started, all of this, it started by the unification of certain power players,
Right.
getting together and saying, hey, let's do this. Okay.
Well, like I said, I think you both bring a really big aspect to it. Yours, the entertainment aspect, and the way the events ran. You know, again, I have no issues with Shift Sector, but for me or my type of clientele, the Fast or Nothing is way more eventful, way more enticing, and makes you feel, I mean, you got your money's worth 1,000 times over, right? At Shift Sector, I liked it, but I didn't get as many passes. There wasn't a lot of excitement. Like, we were excited internally,
Of course.
but how cool would it have been for it to be announced and for everybody to kind of, you know, when they do something crazy. They did announce, I think, the R8s and things like that. I don't know. Like I said, it's nothing against Jason, and he may not have known, but
Yeah.
you know, we just didn't feel included. We didn't feel part of it. And from day one at this one, we felt included. We felt part of it. And there's just so many other things going on, and you know, there's people in the pits, you know, giving away food and giving away this and doing that, and everybody, no matter their monetary status,
That to me
is
was key.
together hanging out.
That to me was key.
You know,
That to me was key
That blew
because-
my mind.
Yeah, it has to be that. Like, again, like I said, we're humans. This is all we have, bro.
Yeah,
This is all we have. And for a short while.
right.
So we made to make sure that we leave an impression and a good legacy. And to be able to have that, you want to impact as many lives as possible, in a good way.
Well, so basically, what the plan is right now is you're going to be starting the first event in
Yeah.
Avon Park.
Avon Park, great community, man.
Where's Avon Park for the people that don't know?
I know. The same thing. Avon Park is in the center of Florida. It's an hour and a half away from Orlando, an hour and a half away from Tampa, and 2 hours and a half away from Miami. So, with those three big markets close by, I said, hey, geographically, this is going to be really good.
Well, especially since there's so many people that claim to be the fastest in Florida.
Oh,
It's time to put up or shut up, right?
yeah.
Here's an event. You can't say you don't have it. You can't say you don't have the real estate. You can't say you don't have the opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, when is the date?
December 7th.
So December 7th. Put up or shut up.
Yeah,
you know?
December 7th. If you want to
If you want to roll race, right?
No, we're not going to roll race.
Oh, half mile.
Half mile. Only
But
standing
let's
half mile.
make this big so we can get the roll race going.
Exactly. To do the roll race, I would need to do 2 days. And since this is
Oh,
my first
okay.
time doing it, I wanted to be as cautious and as mindful as possible with this first event. So it's only half mile, standing half mile, 1 day. But eventually, hopefully by next year, December, we'll do 2-day race, roll race on Saturday, half mile on Sunday.
Well, I
just
know-
like we do here.
There is a lot of people out there, notably the Boosted Boys. I don't know if you've met them or spoke with them.
No, I haven't.
If not, Boosted Boys, I got
getting
faith
called
in
out.
you. I got faith in you. Show up. They've have you seen they made a Platycee?
What?
So it's a Honda Odyssey, the older one,
Yeah?
with a plaid driveline.
What?
I think it's taken apart now, and they turned it back to E-Roy.
I would love
So
that.
it's just a roll cage
I
plaid.
would love to see that.
But they've also got some crazy MR2s, all kind of crazy stuff.
Let's call them.
Cletus.
I don't know these
You don't know
people.
Cletus? Okay, so Cletus is America's homeboy savior.
Yeah?
Cletus is
I've heard of him, by the way.
Yeah.
But I don't know him.
hospitality wise, like, and this is just, you know, from seeing him in person and seeing what he's done for the community. When they had that bad hurricane, he took his own helicopter to deliver supplies.
What?
He
I
organized
love that.
a lot of it. He's a really good guy, but he's also got some insanely fast fucking cars.
Let's call him. You have his number?
I don't.
Oh, we gotta call him.
But-
We gotta contact him.
But we will tag him in this video.
Oh yes,
Cletus, because we know he owns the Freedom Factory. Okay.
I know the Freedom Factory.
All right.
And I freaking love it.
So that is
Cletus, bro.
That is in Bradenton, which is about an hour
away.
hour and 20 minutes from Avon Park.
Yes.
Right. Well, so is Cooper Bugatti, who's another good guy. I did his podcast.
Bugatti?
Bugatti.
Okay.
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Okay.
But he has a little podcast, but he's got a 2JZ Camaro F-body. So I'm like, you know.
Those are the cars I want there.
Now, they are drag cars, but they have other cars. They have tons of other cars.
They could change the setup, the ratio in the transmission. That's what you got to figure out.
I mean, how funny would it be to take the cars from the Lemons race? They do 24 hours of Lemons, which is a bunch of Caprices.
What?
Cop car Caprices, and they race them. Celebrities get in it and race them. So have that come to the half mile and see whose Caprice can go faster.
Hell yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yes.
Florida, you got a lot of shit going on, you know, but it's time to get out of drag racing. Start stepping into some half mile. Step into some roll race, step into some unfamiliar territory and blow it up.
I think it's gonna happen. It's been hard again. Everything new brings resistance with it. But I think it's going to be good once the people experience what we do and what we try to do for the family and for the sport and for the community. I think it's going to be really good.
Well, and all of these guys that I'm talking about, you know, they're very big for the car community. They're very, very big car community advocates. So they tried to shut down the track in Bradenton because they were building houses around it. And they went to the city council and they petitioned for it and they saved the track. So this is what they do. You know, they have a big influence and they utilize their voice, which all of us very heavily appreciate. But this is an event that I know would be bigger in the States because there's so many people that would do it. But Shift Sector can only handle, you know, he can only do so much, I'm sure.
Correct. Yeah.
So let's add more. Let's do more. And if it's starting in Florida, it's starting in their backyard. It'd be a no-brainer for them to pitch in and start pushing.
I don't know how we're going to do it, but after this podcast, we're making some calls.
I'll at least text Cooper. I got Cooper's number.
Okay, cool.
Cooper's cool.
But does Cooper know?
Everybody, yep. They're all linked.
That's where it is.
So, but that's the whole thing is bring these people that have this influence, you know, and not just for their influence, but we want to see their cars.
Of course.
We want to see them send their stuff down there.
Of course.
And we know they will.
And Freedom Factory, bro?
Yeah.
That's
we
amazing.
went there for Florida 2K and it was pretty cool.
Beautiful. I love it.
That's probably the closest event I would say that is more everybody's kind of working together. Is a lot of the events Cletus puts on, and I know that it's more geared towards YouTube celebrities and things like that. But if you got something fast, you could tell he has a level of respect for it. But I don't know.
We got faster or nothing, Cletus.
Yeah,
Let's join.
I think it'd be good. I think the roll race is going to be another big aspect. That's going to be really huge.
Hopefully we get it done. Not this first year, again, because this is the first time we're doing an event in the mainland. So there's a lot of factors that go into producing the event. Suppliers. I had to take down the VIP ticket because I had no suppliers for staging that I knew.
What does that mean? So we know.
You know the staging, the seated level VIP stages
That's what we need.
We didn't have that. We didn't have a supplier that wasn't close by. So again, I had to take that one down. I had to only keep the pit pass and the pit pass plus, so people could go to the you have
Right.
access to everything except the pit, except the VIP. But I took down the VIP for this event because I had no supplier, and I had to make a decision before I started compromising people buying tickets and me not able to deliver. So that to me was big.
Right.
Because my credibility can be blemished by something like that.
Right. Well, and because if you didn't follow through to your word, I'm sure you would be more effective than anybody.
Oh,
So
for sure.
I think, like I said, I think Florida's a good spot for. It's a hot spot for a lot of car enthusiasts. It's a hot spot for a lot of those guys. But I think Texas would be another good spot. I know they do Hondo and Abilene. So maybe if y'all could collab on something like that,
I would love
or another airstrip. What
I don't. Those are the ones that Shift Sector does, right?
Right. That's what I'm saying. If y'all
wouldn't-
collabed with something.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it in any of the spaces that he's done it.
No.
Not because of him already doing it. The contrary, I would get a new space and from there develop that circuit. What I want to do is imagine this. Imagine having a circuit of races during the year that everybody has to race for a championship.
Yeah, I think they do a point system for Shift Sector.
Yeah?
I think so.
That's pretty cool.
I'd have to look into it. I don't remember.
Yeah, they
Sorry.
have 6 events.
But I think they do that, which I think would be kind of cool for the roll race stuff too. Because they've tried the roll race stuff at drag strips and it works, but people get nervous and it seems to always get rushed out of the way for the drag racing, which honestly it makes sense because I'm sure the roll race doesn't do so well for the surface.
Yeah.
So doing this at like an airstrip or something like that is a lot more beneficial.
Yeah.
And there's tons of airstrips that aren't being used, I'm sure. But what, so that would be your plan for the States.
Yeah.
And then like I said, we got to get these Florida boys on so they can show out. What about here? So how often do you do the half mile here? Is it twice a year?
I used to do it 4 times a year.
I was gonna say, it seemed like more than twice a year.
Yeah, I used to do 4 times a year. But now I took it down to 2 because I want to be able to do, it's going to be 4 times a year, but it's going to be 2 private ones and 2 open ones.
What does that mean?
The private ones, I do a barbecue and race day.
Okay.
So every racer is there. They bring their own barbecue. We have they bring their own food, and we just have a gathering of racers, and we're there racing and having barbecue. But I don't have to go through the whole hustle of doing an event, the tickets, the promotion, the billboards, all of that shit that it's fucking insane. It's more private. You get 50, 60 cars to come in, race all day, do their barbecue, spend their time with their family. It's beautiful.
Hey,
I've done 2 of those already.
you guys cook at the other one, don't you? At the regular fest or not?
Yeah. People cook out. I don't.
Well, no, I'm saying I've seen where y'all cook like a big thing for all the racers too.
Oh yeah. I always have food for the racers. That's
Yeah.
another thing that I always do. When you register for the event, you get yourself, the car, a companion, lunch, and refreshments all day.
That's where my lunch comes from. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's where your lunch will come from.
Huh? And the jerseys.
And
the
I
shirts.
always have long sleeve shirts for them.
Yeah.
For racers and
Which
stuff.
I love those shirts.
Yeah, I know.
She's
right?
got one. She has 2.
Good.
Maybe.
And the good thing about it, except that shirt that you have right now, this is the first time I have somebody do shirts with a brand that have not been a part of it at some point. Either you've worked in the event or you've raced in the event.
Yeah.
That's the only way you could get a long sleeve shirt with the whole branded stuff. And
Well, I've done both, and I still don't have one. But that's okay.
What?
I'll get one. She takes
that's
them.
going to change right now.
Oh, that's true. She did.
What time is it? It's 11:27. As soon as we're done, you're going to my house and I'm going to give you one. You're probably my size.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, so another thing I want to touch on, which I thought was really cool, something I saw here, didn't see there, the paletero.
Paletero. How would you translate that in English?
No clue. Insane, psychotic, the most reliable car in the world.
No,
the
but it has
most
to be-
passes made.
The more passes made, but there has to be like a word for that. Like in the racing slang, there has to be a word like. There has to.
Endurance.
If not,
The most consistent car you can think of to do this lap. Not lap, but
yeah, but there has to be like a funny name towards it. What do you call a seesaw? A seesaw. That's what you call when you have the little one, the thin one.
A hacksaw?
You know the one that goes like this, and they have like a little saw,
A little bow saw?
bow saw,
Yeah.
and what?
Bandsaw.
Bandsaw.
Yeah.
That's the fucking name.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the bandsaw, back and forth. Flat.
But so when I went to Shift Sector, I think we got 10 passes in 2 days.
Okay.
Which again, we did what we needed to do. Everything was fine. How many laps are these cars making in this paletero class? I remember
We
one
had a
time.
girl We had a girl do 100 passes in a
100
weekend.
passes in a
No
weekend.
joke.
I
60
saw
passes-
79, I think, one time.
60 passes in one day, 40 passes the other day.
Yeah.
100 fucking passes. Hey, listen, I got a ring and everything. Like, I had to make a ring for
I
her.
saw that. I saw that.
I had to, because the fastest girl gets a ring. But this is the first human that has done 100 passes in a weekend. Usually we get in, our average is from 1,900 to 2,400 passes in a weekend.
Which is insanity. And I've seen it, so I know it's true. I think it just goes back to how it's ran, and again, the announcement, the pump that's there. I don't even know Spanish, but I'm pumped the whole time. I'm psyched. I don't know what the hell you're saying, but I like it.
Listen, this podcast came in such a precise moment, because obviously I know English,
Yeah.
but I don't practice it enough. So every trip that I've been doing to Florida, I've been pushing my English. So this conversation was good, because now I'm getting geared, because I
Yeah.
need to do it in English now.
But that's the thing, is the pump behind it makes you want to do more passes, makes you want to keep going. But for that class, the other thing I really liked is the celebration at the end.
Yeah.
Because everybody kind of comes together, they get their trophies, everybody celebrates as like a
Yeah.
big team, instead of just going to pick up your trophy, and hey, cool. It's like a whole celebration, the champagne. I mean, it's a party. Again, we'll have to go back to some of our videos, because, we usually take first, second, and third place USDM. So if anybody thinks that they can beat that, ship your car here and try your luck. Yeah, yeah,
We got to get freedom guys,
yeah.
freedom fighters to come down here.
Freedom
Once they come to the first event, if we get that to happen and they come to Puerto Rico, what I want to do, I want to have 4 main events for next year. 2 events here, 2 events in Florida. Those other 2 smaller event, barbecue and race. Maybe we could do a barbecue and race in Florida. That might be a good idea, especially with getting the people to understand. And obviously getting the people to join the application.
Well, so for anybody that's thinking, hey man, I want to ship my car down there. We've shipped a car here. It took 4 days. 4 days. Of course, that was for permanent, going through the port. There's multiple options, but I think we shipped out of Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, you ship them, you have them here, you'll pick it up. You could have it for a month on a restricted license of exhibition.
Right.
You go race, you bring it back to the port, you send it back to Jacksonville.
Right.
Simple.
So there's no excuse for you to, not show up and show us what you got, because I think U.S. versus the states. I think Puerto Rico versus the states. Call it what you want. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people that think that this is some third world island, that we're kind of racing with matchbox sticks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I say try your luck. Come out to one of these events, because
you know what
you might be
surprises me?
put in your place real quick.
You know what surprises me, and this is something that I want to bring out with the 359 pass. At some point, the world record was held by really good friends of mine. An underground Lamborghini, and it was done here in the same half mile.
Yep.
234 miles an hour. And everybody was like, oh yeah, they broke the record, there's no problem. But now when a local boy does it, local team does it, they're like, no, I don't believe it. It's not until we showed the draggy
Right.
that people were like, oh shit is for real. That being said, you told me something that I want you to tell the people about what was happening with the draggy. And I had to ask engineers, why is this happening? Because I always like to ask questions.
Well, so before we get to that, so basically what happened was it was still a little damp outside, and this GTR makes a pass, killer pass, registers 259 on the board, which was that a record?
The
That's
fastest
the
GTR in the world.
fastest GTR in the world. So 259, fastest GTR in the world.
259.51.
A few days later, I noticed that there's a post on Facebook. I saw it. I was there. where they questioned the mile an hour, which first I'm like, okay, I see how people always have resistance to Puerto Rico. And so basically we were in there, they were asking, you know, somebody reached out to ask me, you know, my thoughts if it was accurate. And I told them, I was like, you're not going to like this answer. But every car that I did that day, which was 7 cars, were 2 to 3 miles an hour slower on the boards than what the Draghi showed. So I was talking to Osvaldo and asked him, I said, hey, you know, I noticed this. Just so we're clear, that 259 was at least 261. Take it how you want. I'd asked him, I said, hey man, what was the deal? You know, I noticed all of my cars were 3 mile an hour slower on the board. And then you had told me, you know.
I had to speak to some engineers just to make sure to understand what was going on. Because again, we measure the half mile with the regulations of Race America, of their hardware, and we do it with a surveyor because I want to make sure that it's till the dot. That being said, you're not the only one that was having problems with the Draghi giving more miles than we were giving at the board. And I asked an engineer why, and that day was very, very cloudy.
Yeah, it did rain both days.
And it did rain both days. And the Draghi works with a satellite. So he's telling me that the condensation and everything that's going on in the clouds makes it hard for the Draghi to read correctly. So that's what was going on with the Draghi, with the difference with the boards or the Race America system. Because people need to understand, I'm using the same system that everybody uses in the States.
Right.
Race America. The only thing I developed, which is a software that I developed, was a software that reads what Race America outputs, which is the same thing you see in the boards.
Right.
So that's all I did. That's the only difference in our technology than you would have in the States. And the reason why I did that is because, this is a pretty funny story. The reason why I did that is because one day I'm in an event, 10 o'clock in the morning, and the printer goes out. It gets damaged. But I'm already in the event. This is gonna last till 6. So I'm not giving anybody their numbers. That couldn't happen.
Right.
So I had to get an assistant producer to do a WhatsApp chat and start sending every pass, whatever they did. And I'm like, this is not happening to us again. Let's figure out a way. Let's create a software that handles all the hardware stuff from Race America and puts it in a simpler way for racers to have their data. As soon as they cross the half mile, they'll come back and have their data.
So that's the website then.
That's the website.
Yeah, because we watched that the whole time.
Yeah.
As soon as they make a pass, I'm like, okay, it's there, cool. And that's a big feature I really like. That was something huge. But so basically, do we think the 259 is the most accurate, or what did the Draghi show?
The Draghi showed 263.
263.
At top speed.
Which, if 259 point something, that's the 3 mile an hour.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
So we're gonna say 259 to be safe.
Yeah, 259, which is what the board said, and they took it good. Like the team, PMS, Predator, and Ivan and Alex, the owner, Omar, the tuner and shit, they took it well. They were like, listen, this is what the board said is what the board is. We'll go for the record. They want to go for the record.
Right.
And I don't doubt it. These people, they need to work on their traction a little.
It was still wet.
Was it?
It was still damp. I'm gonna find the video. I'll include the video. It was just barely, but it was absolutely still barely wet out there when they did that.
But their traction, at some point I was like, oh shit.
Well, they did go to the other lane.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I learned this, and correct me if I'm wrong, they always have 2 lanes in other events?
Yes.
When they go for a record pass,
They send one.
they send only one?
Yep.
And is it the whole lane?
No, it's just one lane, but that way if something happens, they can move.
Yeah.
Which it worked out really well.
Yeah, no. And at the end of the day, is the Draghi backed it up, and
Well, and that's the thing is,
Draghi posted it actually.
so let's say the fastest GTR in the world right now
Yeah.
is Puerto Rico. Let's go 259. if you can beat it, show up and let's see what you got.
They could beat it. They could beat it. The STOs are doing
No, in a GTR.
on the GTR. Yeah, ETS I think had it for a long time. 255.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. So let's keep it going, keep the momentum.
I love it.
You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, the competition is important. I think competition is important.
Right.
Because that's what makes you grow. When you have no competition, you stay stagnant.
Yeah. And
Because there's no need.
we
to
know
change.
there's
if it's working, why would I change it?
I mean, between T1, Workhorse Performance, and all these big GTR guys, I know that they would jump at the chance to come show what they've got because they've got some crazy cars. But
I'm telling you right now in this podcast, all of these guys that want to come from the States, I would give you the registration for free.
There you
Because
go.
I know you guys have a lot of investment to go through.
Yep.
I'll take care of your registration.
I mean, that's an open invitation. You got to take it.
Yeah.
But I know that these guys are really, really big. What I think the difference would be is, they can go to Shift Sector and run it there. The difference is going to be the weather here, because at the Shift Sector events, it's usually cooler outside.
Yeah.
But they do it at altitude. So the DA is very close, but the water grain here is a lot higher.
Okay.
The DA is typically higher, and that runway does have a little bit of sand on it every now and then because the beach is right there.
Yeah.
So it would be cool to see it, at Shift Sector, but come here and do it here. Come do it in the same environment, which I thought, evens the playing
I would
field.
love to get a team of 10, 20 cars from the States. I would love that. I will help them any way I can.
And after that,
to
we'll
make
hit
it
the
happen.
beach and go to the rainforest.
Hell yeah. Hell
You
yeah.
know?
Have some coquito, get some empanadas, get some alcaburria.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you're coming to paradise. Come to paradise to race.
I love that.
Instead of having to go, freeze your balls off. Because I was very cold up there. I think I've gotten used to this weather, and it's really messing with me.
Listen.
Because it's
the other day-
65 up there, and I'm like, no.
No. Listen,
Hell no.
it happened to me. 2 weeks ago, I was in Avon Park, and I got in, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It's a shock.
Yeah, man. It's cold. It's really cold.
Yeah,
Bro.
this weather's kind of ruined me.
Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. Tell everybody where to find you. If these guys want to reach out, how do they get a hold of you?
I'm very active in social media. So Instagram, Friger, that's my personal one. Fast or Nothing, that's the event one. I'm also active in that. I have a couple of members checking all the time for messages so we can respond as soon as possible. The website to register is fasternothing.com. And to buy tickets, it's funtickets.com.
Spell it.
FON,
Yep.
tickets.com. FON, just to have fun with a no.
Thank you, man.
I love you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.